Welcome to another Reaper blog video. Today we're looking at the MoveLink M2 wireless system. This is a 2.4 gigahertz digital wireless system, and we're going to see how it sounds and if it's a good option for my recordings and for possibly for you as well. Godox sent me this a few months ago, back in November. I initially had some problems using it for recording, and I kind of just put it on the back burner and forgot about it for a while. So you're actually already hearing this microphone. I just have the SM7 in the way for some reason. But yeah, I'm using this microphone on my shirt right now. Before I get into the problems I was having using this system, I want to just go through what's in the box first.
So here's what you get in the box. You get the charging case, and inside you get the two microphones and the receiver. So the mic looks like this. Got a little microphone on top and a 1/8 inch or 3.5 millimeter TRS jack for connecting the included lavalier microphone. Power and mute on the microphones, as well as a pair button if it doesn't automatically connect. There's also the charging port there. On the back there's a clip. This is also magnetic. And the receiver basically looks the same. We've got the power button. Hold it to start. Tapping A and B will give you controls for the left and right microphones. And the volume controls for both of the microphones are actually on the receiver side. There's another pair button. We can choose mono or stereo operation with this. On the top we have two outputs. There's actually a headphone jack and a camera connection. And I'll just turn these on. That link icon in the middle shows that they are connected. The main feature of this case, besides keeping everything well protected, is it has one USB-C on the side for charging. The case does not have an internal battery that will charge everything on the go. Instruction manual, two fluffy windscreens that connect, just clip onto the top. Good for outdoor recording. And then a whole pile of accessories, actually pretty nice accessories. Two lavalier microphones with 1/8 inch TRS connectors, built-in clip, and windscreen. The black cable is for connecting the receiver to any line input with an 1/8 inch jack. So we use that for recording to a computer or connecting to a camera. And then the red cable is for mobile, and that has a TRS to TRRS, and that is for mono recording onto a smartphone. Got these little discs that help with the magnets for connecting to under a shirt, kind of hiding the microphone. We've got three USB-C to USB-A charging cables, little lanyard for the charging case if you want to do that.
So when I first got this system, I was very impressed by the build quality, all the accessories that it comes with. It seems like a really great comprehensive package with a lot of versatility. I like how compact they are, how simple it is to charge all three devices. All the cables that I needed were included. All that kind of stuff was great. Some of the issues I was having was interference, and it turned out to be not actually an issue with these systems. It's just I didn't have any way of recording their sound without getting interference at first. When I tried recording into my Zoom H5 through the line-in jack, 3.5 millimeter from the receiver into here, should be pretty simple, but it turned out it wasn't. I was getting a ton of interference. Having any cable with nothing else connected to it, it was just picking up all kinds of electromagnetic distortion and junk that made recording through this impossible. It does record cleanly through the XLR jacks, I should mention that. I had the same issue going into my camera, so I actually set up and recorded a whole video with these mics connected to the mic input on my camera, Panasonic G7. And when I imported the footage and started listening to what was recorded, it was just covered in noise and completely unusable. I deleted it the same day, so unfortunately I don't have an example of that. But the good news is that I've actually resolved those issues.
On Amazon, I bought a couple of these cables, which are Ugreen 3.5 millimeter male-to-male audio cable braid, 3 foot. And I was just looking for something that would have good shielding and give me some different options than the coiled cables. Also, I needed the option to connect to XLR inputs. So I actually hacked together something here. 1/8 inch TRS to dual XLR. So these are unbalanced XLR, but they will get you into any standard studio mic preamp or field recorder through the XLR jacks. And that tends to offer some cleaner recording, or at least some better options.
I also figured out how to record into my PC using the line-in jack. I got all the settings right for that, which was a bit of trial and error, but I think that's sounding pretty good now. And that's the signal that you're hearing. And I figured out how to record onto my camera, and we're gonna have a section of this video dedicated to that. You can pick up the Godox MoveLink M2 kit for $199. There is also a slightly cheaper option that doesn't come with a charging case. Pretty much all the same accessories and a single channel instead of stereo for $139. This is the kit that they sent me, and I think for that price you get a ton of versatility. If you're connecting it right, if you're using it correctly, and I was not when I first got it, that it actually is a very cool product. So now I'm connected to my phone. I've got the mic on my shirt, connected wirelessly to my phone, which is the iPhone SE. So I've got the receiver with the red cable going into a lightning adapter into the phone, and it's sitting on an OBSBot Me. It's actually a motorized tripod that has its own camera that tracks me. So I can just do this hand gesture, and now it's going to track me. And so I've got freedom of motion because the camera's going to track me. It's always going to stay on my face, and the mic. I don't need to worry about being too far away from the mic if I have to walk away. So for certain types of productions, I think this is a really cool combo. I'm actually using the selfie camera, so this is not even the highest quality you can get out of this phone, but it is really nice to have a preview of what is being filmed. And unfortunately, one of the downsides of using a connection like this through the lightning adapter is you don't actually get to monitor the sound as you are recording. So you don't really know. You're just going to have to do a test recording and hope that you're not clipping or there's no interference or anything else that could destroy the recording. So that's the MoveLink connected to the iPhone on an OBSBot Me. Pretty cool. Because this is a wireless digital device, there is some latency involved. It's not a lot, but it's noticeable. And if you're using this along with wired connections, that can make a difference. And even if you are trying to sync your footage to the wireless system, or vice versa, wireless system to your footage, that is important to get right. I've got a little test here. I've got the wireless system in front of me, just on the table, connected into my audio interface through XLR on input 1, and then a dynamic mic right beside that going into input 2. And so I'm just going to hit record, clap, and then I'm going to zoom in here and find kind of the same peak. So let's say right here, you can zoom in and be as detailed as you want with this. As you can see, there's quite a bit of difference, but there's our offset. And if we play this back, it sounds doubled. So we don't want that. What we need to do here is take our time selection and look up in this box in our time selection area, right click and make sure this is set to seconds. And so I'm seeing a offset of 66 milliseconds, 0.66 seconds, 66 milliseconds to go from the microphone to the receiver into a audio device. That's a number that I can put into my OBS if I'm using this mic system into OBS to record a video. That should be at least a good starting point for figuring out how that's going to sync with my camera. And if this was a video project where I had a camera and I could see myself clapping, I would just line up the waveform to where I see my hands meet in that video frame. And then, yeah, that should be in sync for the rest of the video. So now we're doing a comparison of the internal mic on a camera like the Panasonic G7 compared to the MoveLink and the Lav. So this is the internal microphone on the camera, and it's at least 2 arms distances away. This is the normal position for my camera. At a normal speaking voice, this is the level that the mics would pick up with the 0 dB setting on the internal preamps. Probably sounds really bad. Now you're hearing the MoveLink wireless system with the lavalier on my shirt, and this is coming into the camera with the 0 dB setting, 0 dB on the receiver, and 0 dB on the internal preamps. Most likely there's quite a lot of background noise with this setup. I've tried to minimize that by having the receiver and the cabling further away. Well, I actually have no way of monitoring it while recording, so I don't know if there's actually interference, but it looks like it's clipping and it probably sounds terrible. Let me fix that. And now I've turned down the internal preamp on the G7 to -12 setting. That's the lowest setting, and normally that would make for a very quiet recording, but that seems to be about right for this wireless system, with the lavalier mic on my shirt and the receiver connected on the camera. So now I want to compare the sound of the MoveLink to the sound of recording into a phone directly. So you're seeing me on a Panasonic G7 and hearing me through an SM7B. And now we're switching over to the sound of the iPhone, which is in front of me. And so this is how it sounds at maybe 2 hands distance away, about a foot away from my mouth. It's not directly onto the microphone, but this will be a roomy sounding recording. You'll pick up a lot of ambience around. Now I'm going to plug in the lightning adapter with the red cable connected to the receiver on the camera connection port. And it's switched over to the external microphone. I can see that here in the app. I'm using the Rode Recorder app, by the way. So there's the MoveLink on my shirt, you know, hand distance away from my face, and that is picking up a pretty healthy signal. I can actually adjust it in this app or on the receiver, and I've got the receiver set to +0, so this is kind of flat. All right, and just for comparison to see what actually changes when we go from the camera connection to the headphone connection on here, brace yourself. All right, and now this is the very distorted headphone output. And for, at least with the iPhone, through this adapter, that connection can't really be used. It's too high volume to actually be useful here. You'd have to set that to -5 on the receiver and then also turn it down in the software. But for example, the camera app doesn't have a volume slider, so you would just record distorted and it would be ruined. So something to keep in mind. In my findings, the camera connection works best for the iPhone. So for my setup, where am I actually going to use this mic? I would love to use this for streaming. So there are times when I need to leave the computer area. It would be nice to still be able to talk to chat or to narrate what I'm doing as I'm doing it away from the computer, not having to be in front of this microphone the entire time. It's kind of a minor thing, and I'm sure chat doesn't even mind waiting, a minute while I'm gone. But it would just be nice to have. I've actually already used it for an overhead camera shot where I was recording on my phone and narrating into the mic, just as part of the testing process. But it turned out pretty well, and I don't think anyone noticed that I changed the mic. The mic changed as the angle changed, so that partly hides that change, but I thought it sounded fine. It was a situation where I didn't need to be wireless, but it turned out to record well and be completely usable. And if I ever get back to doing in-person interviews, this is going to be the perfect thing. It's such a small, simple wireless setup. You don't have to look at radio channels or anything like that. They've got the internal batteries, so you don't need to bring extra batteries. As long as everything's plugged in the night before, charging in the case, everything's going to be good to go. And with the option of recording on 2 separate channels, having left and right for 2 different people, and that's something that I wouldn't be able to do if I didn't have these or some other, wireless mic system like that. I would have to have a field recorder, 2 mic cables, 2 dynamic microphones probably, and have stands for each of those to do an interview. I've done interviews that way. It's a lot less comfortable than just clipping a mic on the shirt and going. A mic like this, you can just forget that it's on, and it's always picking up the sound. So what do you think? Does this have a use in my studio? Does this have a use for your video recordings or your home studio? Let me know in the comments. They're not making me sell this to you or anything like that. If you're not interested, no problem at all. But if you want to click through that Amazon link and buy anything else, that will help support the channel. So thank you to Godox for sending me this to try out. And sorry it took so long. It took many, many months to get this video done. And thanks to you for watching this video. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Support the Reaper blog through Patreon. And visit reaperblog.net for a lot more tutorials.